I was so low, at one point I ended up having to move in with my sister. And my sister gave me, my nieces, she gave me her daughter's My Little Pony bedroom. So my niece would go and stay with her. So I was in this little My Little Pony bedroom. I mean, the cover was My Little Pony. The walls were pink and purple. Everything, the pillowcase, everything in the room. Even like when you turn the light out, it was a My Little Pony glow lamp. So it was like little ponies on the wall. I'm a 30-year-old man, 29, 30-year-old man, sleeping in a twin size My Little Pony mattress. Like whenever, a girl would try to FaceTime me, I would never FaceTime in the room because I'm laying in the cover. They gonna see me with a My Little Pony.
My goal is to help inspire people to be their best selves. These conversations will help people identify their best qualities, bring them out, and understand how to develop plans to achieve their goals. I'm Kayla B, and welcome to the Big Boss Energy Podcast. What's up, guys? We got a very, very special guest in the building today. I feel like this is so long awaited. Like, people have really been like loving my episode on your podcast.
You killed it.
To this day.
You killed it.
So I'm really excited to introduce Mr. Cyrus. Okay, what's going on?
Yo, it's about time I'm here.
It's about time. Yo, you the second.
Looking at my rollie, it's about that time. Like, for real. Because I saw you drop this when you said you were going to drop it. And we were just talking off line about like just how fire your platform is and everything you've been doing with it. And I just been sitting back like, man, maybe one day she gonna hit me up and I'm gonna be on. So happy to be here on Big Boss Energy with you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I've been getting toe up today because they've been saying they've been waiting on me to hit them up to come on the podcast, and I'm like, everybody has to wait their turn.
Hey.
No, literally, but I'm so happy that you decided to come. I feel like both of us are crushing it in our respective spaces right now. We see each other so much at events, and we're always like in the same environment.
Yeah.
So I feel like this was just had to be
done. It was gonna happen.
Had to be done. But yeah, I'm really excited to get us. So what I think I'm really excited about for this episode is that you always interview people and you're just asking them about their story, but I don't feel like nobody's ever really gotten the real tea on you.
No, not too much.
Like, nobody gets to peel back Cyrus. So it's like cool to put you in the hot seat because I've been in your hot seat, and it's always career as well. Whereas I feel like today we're going to dive into a little bit more about how did you even get to this space of impacting the Black tech community the way that you are. If you guys don't know, go ahead and let them know who you are, what you got going on, the vibes.
So I'm Cyrus. I'm the founder of Tech is the New Black. So most people know it as a podcast, but overall it's a platform where we've helped over 700 people. At this point, it's close to, give or take, 1,000 people get six-figure tech careers. Interviewed some really, really dope people. As you could tell, I mean, Kayla was on there. She graced us with her presence. And we give exposure to large tech brands, small tech brands, founders, as well as tech influencers.
Awesome. I love that. So yeah, Tech is the New Black is literally, I feel like, the culture right now when it comes to everybody getting the exposure they need to understand how people should break into technology. As well as like just the behind the scenes. I feel like there was nothing like that before you put that on the forefront. So kudos to you for curating a space for African Americans to even feel safe to share that, and to highlighting what we're doing in this industry, because there's a huge gap, which we're gonna definitely dive into, and people being able to be in this space that I think that creators like you, me, Simone, there's a few of us who are really passionate about bridging that gap when it comes to not only wealth, but representation in the tech industry. So really excited to dive into it. So you got a really cool story. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like everybody knows you as the guy who's telling people, here's how you can do this, but how did you do it? Like, that's what we gotta figure out. So what even sparked you being able to pour into other people?
So what sparked it for me, I mean, I was broke. Just keeping it a stack. I was broke, and it's funny, I was popular on social media. Like social media is such like a scam. It's so funny. There's so many people that are popular but just aren't doing good, And so I remember I was so broke at one point. I was working this kind of job at Walmart. And this, it was like a large crowd. It was some kind of sales job I was doing at Walmart. They had me pitching something. It was like a kind of weird job. But I remember there would be times people in the audience would be like, yo, I follow you on Instagram, or, they would be shocked. They'd be like, what are you doing here? They thought it was like a joke or something. And then eventually I started Lyft driving, And even when I was doing the rideshare driving thing, there were plenty of times where people get in the car and they were like, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you, Lyft driving?
Because they knew you from online.
Yeah, they knew me from social media,
oh,
yes.
Wow.
So, before I talked, my social media was really about talking a lot about faith, a lot about God, a lot about relationships. So it was really those two things what my content was about. So it was always positive. It was always about like helping people be better. But at some point I was like, yo, all of this like little social media stuff is goofy. As a man, I need to get my stuff together.
Okay.
And I was so low. At one point I ended up having to move in with my sister. And my sister gave me my nieces, she gave me her daughter's My Little Pony bedroom. So my niece will go and stay with her. So I was in this little My Little Pony bedroom. I mean, the cover was My Little Pony. The walls were pink and purple. Everything, the pillowcase, everything in the room. Even like when you turn the light out, it was a My Little Pony glow lamp. So it was like little ponies on the wall. I'm a 30-year-old man, 30-year-old man, sleeping in a twin size My Little Pony mattress. Like whenever, a girl would try to FaceTime me, I would never FaceTime in the room because I'm laying in the cover. They gonna see me with a My Little Pony pillow. And even eventually I was able to move out. I was Lyft driving like crazy, 6-7 days a week, 10 hours every single day. Oh, wow. Eventually I was able to get out and get a little spot in the hood. And even then I was like, yo, like it has to be something else. So I just got to the point where I was like, yo, bump all of this. At the time I was like, bump all this trying to be an entrepreneur thing, bump all this trying to be this popular person doing X, Y, and Z. I just need to grow up and just figure out how to make like real money in a way where I can't really lose the bag.
Right.
And so I just straight up got on Google and I Googled the top 20 paying jobs where I could make at least $80,000, $90,000. Wow. And the majority of the jobs, probably about 12 or 13 of them, all of them were in the tech space. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, you know what? I've never seen a person working in tech that was broke. I don't know how much money they making, but I ain't never seen a broke person working in tech.
They pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm like, they doing pretty straight.
Yeah.
So then I was like, yo, I have to get in the industry. And, so I researched, I was like, I ain't about to go to school for 4 years. I said, I got to find some kind of way to get in. So stumbled on tech boot camps. And even the one that I did at the time, I wasn't even sure if it was legit, but I was so desperate
at that point.
I was so just ridiculously desperate. It was times, and I'm gonna be real, it was times Lyft driving. This is some stuff I never talked about. It's plenty of times I'll be Lyft driving and like in between rides, I would break down crying. And it was heavy because it's like, you picking people up and they live in life, all the, in Atlanta, all the popping clubs, these dope restaurants. I'm like, what the hell is this? All the spots I've eaten at now. And I remember
bringing people there though.
Yeah, I was taking people there. And so I created a list. I have the list on my phone now. I created a list of every single spot that I took people to where I was like, what is this? One day I'm gonna have enough money to go to this restaurant. Yeah. One day I'm gonna have something like this. And in between rides, I would just sometimes be crying because I was like, man, this just can't be life, like for real. And so, then did the boot camp and I was like, yo, I'm about to get in. I got in the industry and that was it. Yeah.
And change. Just like Cyrus was mentioning and myself, one of the proven ways to break into tech sales and the technology industry through non-technical roles, maybe not having a degree or transferring in from other careers, is through boot camps and mentorship. I'm so happy to announce that, as you guys know, I am the creator and the executive coach of the Tech Level. This week, we've had a major tech win. One of our students just got a job with Square. If you've noticed, we've been having students break into companies like Square and Salesforce. I'm so excited to help you if you're on this journey. Be sure to check out thetechlevel.com and check out the link below for 10% off if you are on your transition into tech sales, looking for career enablement services, a boot camp, and a mentorship where we meet for about 90 minutes to 2 hours weekly to help you as you make this transition and bridge the gap. Let's talk about it. So there's a pivotal point, though, where you made a decision. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that because I feel like a lot of people are on the brink of that decision, especially on our platforms, right? They're trying to get into tech. They're trying to change their life in some capacity, and there's this transition that has to occur. Where do you have to get mentally for that to happen? Because that's a really big conversation. I feel like people are just online like, oh, it's going to be so easy. And it's like, no, it wasn't even easy for you. It definitely wasn't easy for me. Like, you know what I mean? I think there's this misconception right now on how easy it is. And I think it really comes down to your commitment level and your mindset.
No, that's so real. And it's exactly like you said, it's not easy. The process is fairly simple, But it's
simple.
but it's not easy.
I love that. It's simple,
not easy.
But it's not easy.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that mentality, those are facts what you said, because that's the thing that makes it or breaks it for people.
Right.
And the thing with me, I actually didn't even touch on this, so it's perfect you asked that question. While I was Lyft driving, so I would Lyft drive overnight. And so I would start driving at about 9 or 10 o'clock, and I would drive until 6 or 7 in the morning. There are hella times, most nights, I would have to pull over somewhere at a gas station and nap for like 45 minutes. Right. Had all the energy drinks, all that stuff to keep myself alert. But while I was Lyft driving overnight, I didn't listen to any music. I only listened to books and podcasts. So Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Richest Man in Babylon, The Millionaire Next Door, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Elon Musk's entire story, at least up until a couple years ago, right. Jeff Bezos' entire story, the Amazon store, Sam Walton's story. All of those books, and I can keep going, all of those listened to all of them while I was Lyft driving. Right. Completely revolutionized the way I thought. Just, it was crazy. So I'm Lyft driving, and it was like, it changed everything about my thinking. And I realized, okay, because what happened, because even when I was Lyft driving, I knew I needed to make a change. I was praying and I was talking to God, and I was like, God, I know that I need to change something about myself in order to like change my life. Right. And I was like, I know one of the things I need to do is I need to start learning in some capacity about business, about technology, about being disciplined, about being professional. And I was like, God, I do not care about none of that stuff. Right. I said, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I said, I'm going to try to become that person. And there's was something that like God communicated in my heart, which was basically like, you know, yo, if you take the step to like start reading the books and doing this, I'm going to transform you through you doing that action. And it changed me so much. And that's a huge part of the reason why not only was I able to get in tech so quickly, but that's a major part of the reason why I skyrocketed so fast. Because even when I got in the industry and I got in at the $90,000, and I was like, ooh, it was the first time I was no longer in survival mode. And you was making some bread that felt good. Yeah. But I only felt comfortable with that for about 2 paychecks. Because again, my mind was like this. Had been rewired from all the things that you had been exposed to. So I was like, no, there's got to be something more. Right. And it wasn't even that the money wasn't enough. It wasn't about the money. It was like, no, there has to be something more. And that was why everything skyrocketed so fast in the past couple years. And it was really because of all the work that God did in me and through all of the education, that mindset change while I was Lyft driving. Right. And so I needed that period to help skyrocket me and really be able to help the amount of people that we've been able to help so far. Right. And it's interesting because I feel like God uses such still moments in your life. Even though you're Lyft driving, you still had the capacity and space to listen and receive information. And it's crazy. Sometimes you think about like, why am I in this season of my life? Yeah. And when you look back, God is really working a thing in your life in that moment. Yeah. Because you have the capacity to even be still. Right now, you impact so many other people. Not saying your relationship with God has changed, but things have picked up significantly. You get what I'm saying? Facts. And in those moments, I think a lot of times we don't give credit to the fact that the stillness is where like things are really born, reworked. Yeah. The inner workings are really done in those moments. Yeah, that's so real. Yeah. That's because now I don't have nearly the time to read all of the books and do this and do that. And it's like there been sometimes I'm like, man, I miss some of those nights. Moments, right? And so it's really realized like, man, there's so much beauty in it. And of course, people can't see the beauty in it because they're in the thick of it all. And they're like, no, man, this ain't beautiful. Being in survival mode and doing this and doing that, this isn't beautiful. But it's like sometimes in those seasons you are closer to God. Right. And it's like you look back and you're like, dang, man, I'm so busy. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's like, man, there was some beauty in that season. Stillness. It really is. Yeah. So you didn't go to college? Nah. Okay. So looking back on that, do you feel like, obviously everything works out the way it is, but so many people who are in this transitional space, they're thinking about, do I need to go to college? Should I just break into tech? Because most tech companies have waived degrees for people who don't know. Which is a really big blessing, I think, financially. And financially and time-wise, I think that's such a big blessing. So talk a little bit about looking back on the fact that you're in an industry now where, regardless of your background, it really wouldn't have played like this big part in what you're doing now. I love it so much because it's bigger than me. Because had I went to college, and I realize it at this point, had I went to college, my story wouldn't have impacted people as hard. because
you connect with those same
exactly.
people in the space that you were in.
Yeah, because when I tell people like, yo, do a boot camp to get in tech, and someone's like, does that stuff really work? Nigga, that's how I got it. What are you talking about? Like, I'm literally living proof of that.
Right.
And of course, at the end of the day, education is important, whether someone gets education via college or boot camp or self-learner. But at the end of the day, all of our testimonies matter. And so I know me doing a boot camp, first off, at the end of the day, like, they're on the same like playing field.
Right.
Most tech companies at this point, they're like, yo, if you just have the knowledge and you know how to communicate, if you have whether the technical knowledge or the domain expertise in a certain space that we need, and you're able to communicate it, cool, bet, we want you at this point. And so yeah, college, I mean, keeping a stat, college is a scam for the most part, unless there's certain jobs like, you being a medical doctor or maybe a lawyer, things like that. But it's like when it comes to most, really any job in tech, you definitely don't need college. And yeah, I love it. It's fire because it kind of gives an opportunity to kind of level the playing field.
Right.
Because when we talk about opportunities, and there being opportunities for Black and brown people, for women, for us getting high paying careers, it's like, okay, most of our families don't have the money to be able to pay for like a college, like a technical college degree.
Right.
So now what? We got to go to Sally Mae, or we got to do this and that. So boom. So now we're in heavy debt that our families don't even have the deep pockets to cover this.
Right.
So even after you get, let's say $100,000 job in tech, okay, in 2-3 years, maybe you at 140, 150. But guess what? You still are in all this debt. Right. So you don't even really get to enjoy your money. Right. That's the thing I love, is that the fact that I got in tech, I had zero college debt. It's like, no, this is my money. Yeah. And so that joint is actually crazy.
No, I love that, because the biggest thing that I've realized is right now, like you said, the playing field, I always say this, the entry barrier is so low to get into tech. Yeah. And when I say low, like we said, it's not easy, it's simple. That's really the theme of what we're trying to get at, because when I say low barrier of entry, we're talking about you could have been bartending. Yeah. You could have had people skills, and as long as you have the right career development, right education, you have now put yourself in a position to make 6 figures. And when we say 6 figures, that is, the scale is crazy when we talk about tech sales, because you really could be making $100K, you could be making $350, you could be making $6, you could be making $1 million, right? Facts. So it's all 6 figures. Yeah. And I think that it's a really powerful space for, like you said, Black and brown people to be in, to have access to that, because we have not always had that level of access.
Yeah, we ain't never had that level of access. Right. I love this. You mentioned that thing about the 6 figures, especially you talking about how it scales. And because it's funny, you see posts on social media, you see them all the time, where some people will say things like, oh, you'll never get rich working a 9 to 5. I laugh every time I see those posts, because I'm like, I've had at least 2 or 3 people on the podcast that are making anywhere between $500,000 a year, or some even they're grossing $1 a year. Right. And it's like work, just their clock in, clock out. And it's like, yo, you can get super rich in this industry. Right. Then of course we talking about the equity, we're talking about, in tech sales, accelerators. And then, if you're at a company, the company goes public, or, the stock options and all these things you're able to do. It's like, if we look at other communities, like let's say we look at the Indian community, the Japanese, Chinese community, Liberians, Nigerians even, we look at those communities and say, okay, why are they like so successful in America? One thing a lot of people don't even know, I'm about to say something. Y'all can look this up if you think I'm capping. Most people don't know this. White people aren't even in the top 5 earners in America right now? Who are? The groups I listed. Nigerians sit between Chinese and Japanese in America. Indians are reported to be number 1, but technically on average, Liberians are actually the number 1 earners in America. People don't even know that. Yeah. So I looked all these numbers up, and I found out I actually saw a white dude put a post up, and he did a list, and even the white dude was like, yeah, white people are like number 5 or number 6, but I looked it up and I said, oh, this is facts. Right. And so, but we look at, okay, what are these other communities doing that they can come into America, and after 20, 30 years, they're on like ahead of, white people. This isn't like one community versus the other. This is just us talking like facts and talking numbers. But it's like, what did they do? You look on average, what jobs and careers are they pursuing? Technology. They're pursuing technology careers, and they're pursuing medical, like high paying medical careers. And so, but on average, the tech industry pays higher than any other industry on average, and it hires in greater mass.
Right.
And so it's like we talk about building wealth, those communities have it down packed, and
Right.
they're doing it that way. And that's why it's so fire that we're starting to get hip to it too.
Right. And I think that one thing people overlook with tech sales is the skills and resources that you learn in this job to be able to make more money even outside of work. So,
Oh yeah.
both of us, we've turned what we've done into a whole brand.
Yeah.
Which is high paying. You know what I mean? So talk about that aspect. Like, how do you turn this 9 to 5 into additional income? Because I've done it, you've done it. There's so many people in tech who have done it. And I think if it wasn't for me being exposed to how organizations make money, make buying decisions, really sitting in these rooms, I would have never, I've always been an entrepreneur, but understanding I didn't have to go do these far off things versus just utilize the skill set I'm literally being taught by my 9 to 5 to go back into the world and put out. I think that's like the craziest thing when it comes to technology, and more specifically like tech sales, what we both did, because the skill set is crazy. You can really take this skill set and go crazy in so many areas outside of work. Whereas a lot of people are in this space where they're looking for like, I want to be an entrepreneur or I work a job. Whereas people don't understand, you can really
do
utilize one to throw the entrepreneur stuff into a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah,
you know,
in a major way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, because you learn so much working in tech that makes you better for business that you actually don't get from most other industries. Like one of the things that we learn a lot about in tech is, you know, MVP or minimum viable product.
Right.
And so oftentimes whenever we see people that create businesses, they try to wait until the whole business, until like, let's say it's a merch business.
Right.
They would try to wait until they have 10 different shirt designs, 5 hat designs, whatever, and then they drop all of it. But all the money that they wasted coming up with all of those designs, and then come to find out their audience only cares about 2 of the designs.
Right.
So now you got all this other stuff sitting on the shelf. But one of the things you learn from the tech industry is, again, minimum viable product. Like what's the minimal amount? I mean, think Instagram. Everyone's like, oh man, why did Instagram go from just pictures to X, Y, and Z? It was always their plan to create more, but they started with their minimum viable product, which was just the pictures. Same thing with, you know, whether you want to talk Netflix or really any tech company you want to look at. And so you learn that in the industry that teaches you stuff about business or, you know, lean startup model. So there's a variety of things that you learn that translates over to, okay, when I start a business, first off, I'm gonna take this nice tech bag, this knowledge that I'm getting from this industry, and now when I go ahead and I create a business, whatever type of business it might be, now I'm able to do it at a better level. One, because I'm able to finance it myself, so it's not gonna be raggedy or rinky-dink.
Yeah.
And 2,
and
it's actually having proper. Oh yeah, exactly.
Right. When you're starting a business, I don't think many people think about the operating costs it costs to get a business off the ground.
At all.
So many people go in debt. Mad businesses fail just off the strength they cannot keep up the operating expense. So I think what's been really cool is being in a space where, like we were just talking about, I can fund all my endeavors through my commission checks, right? Like I can go invest that money, flip it, and then take it and go make more money off investing it into something that I truly love to do. Yeah. Right? Thanks. Whereas if you're working another job, you're truly capped in a sense, which is also something I really love about the tech industry. I feel like so many other industries, all you have access to is a little 2 to 3% salary raise every year.
Yeah, garbage.
Right?
They don't even keep up with inflation.
Yeah, like even as a doctor, for you to really go crazy, you now have to open your own business or practice. Like you can't just stay in the hospital and think, oh, I'm just gonna go from making X amount to like crazy X amount.
No,
you have to create a business, you have to step into your own. Same with lawyers. You could work at a law firm, or you're gonna have to take the same entrepreneurial spirit and use where you're at to go start your own law firm.
Yeah, they're hoping to someday become a partner.
Right. So I think within tech, you don't even have to get to those levels to see that type of money. As well as you're not putting that much debt coming out or the time. Right? Think about how long it takes to become a partner at a law firm or become a senior doctor versus in technology. When your skill set gets enhanced, that's when you get more money. You know what I mean? So I just think it's so amazing. I want to definitely get into Tech is the New Black though. So
we
talked about your story.
Yeah.
But you've been able to impact thousands and thousands of lives through Tech is the New Black. So what kind of was the tipping point for you when you even, how did that come about? Like, and the name. I definitely want to get into the name.
So, Big Boss Energy, I was like, dang, that name is fire. I love your name too. But so no, it actually didn't take long. I was only in tech for about a month before.
Oh, wow.
Before I started. Now, it was way before the Tech is the New Black came about, but just the vision of, okay, I have to do something else because, you know, again, this, as a man, it was the first time in my life as a man that I no longer was in survival mode. And so even at this point, it's funny, I think about $90,000 a year. Now that seems so small, but at the time, that was life-changing for me. And I remember going to the gym one morning, because before I had to, you know, I was, of course, working remote, but it was before I had to like go and start working. So I'm at the gym, it's probably about 6:30. And in between sets, I had this heavy depression hit me, like I had never felt. And I'm not a person to get sad or depressed, you know, so, but it's hit me. So I sat there and I started talking to God and I was like, yo, like, what's up? Like, what's going on? And I realized, yo, all my life I've been chasing not being broke, that was my hope. It was like one day, that was the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm like, dang, what do I do now that I'm not broke anymore? I was like, what? It just felt like I have nothing else to chase. And like God spoke to my heart, was like, yo, now your purpose is you helping others. Because there are so many other people that are where you just came out of. So God impressed it on me. He's like, yo, I'm not gonna let you feel comfortable, just you being successful and trying to be private with your bag and blah, blah, blah. So I know I put you in this position so you could help others as well. And so I was like, bet, let's get it. And so I thought it was gonna be weird because I was like, yo, I've never talked about tech. Everything on my social media has been
the relationship
with guy. That's it. I say, yo, this is gonna be mad weird. But I said, bump it. I said, yo, even if it just helps just a handful of people. But as soon as I started talking about it on social media, it just exploded. And it made sense because it's like, yo, people are really struggling. And people are like, yo, you know, and people trusted me because I wasn't ever on no weird stuff. You know, hella people was trying to get me to do that Forex stuff. And I was like, nah, I would have made so much money, but just my integrity, you know, and I'm not even coming for nobody that does anything, but just my own integrity. I was like, I didn't feel like it was right. And I was like, I just can't play people just so I could have money. And so I stayed broke while a bunch of my friends started popping.
Off the Forex.
Off that Forex stuff. Oh, that junk was, I remember going to their high rises and them showing me all their stuff. And I was like, man, they were like, Cyrus, bruh, you could do it too. And I was like, I just can't. And so when I started talking about tech, it just exploded right away. And it was funny because at first there were always a few people that were like, man, is this legit? And so I was like, oh yeah. I said, let me start interviewing other people that work in tech. So first, same thing. And I got this from the tech industry. I said, I'm not gonna just start a podcast and take money out of my little $90,000 I got right now. I said, I'm going to just go live on Instagram and interview someone who works in tech. So I just was going live on social media. And then that was going viral. That was going pretty well. Then people were like, okay, I want to do a boot camp. So then of course, you know, the affiliate play with boot camps. That went crazy. And then even the first month that I did it brought in somewhere around a little over 10K the first month. The next month, a little over 15K. And it kept going up. By the time it was like at 50 to 70,000, I was like, and this is aside from my job, and I'm job hopping too. So at this point, I'm at my third tech company.
Trying to just get higher.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm over $250,000 in between base pay and OTE because I was also leveraging my brand on LinkedIn. So on Instagram, I was doing the get in tech type stuff. But on LinkedIn, there was none of that. On LinkedIn, it was the day in the life of being a sales engineer. It was comedy content. So it was relatable to people that were in tech. So hella tech companies were reaching out to me. Recruiters were like, oh, we share your content around. We want you at our company. So that's something people don't know is like you growing your brand in tech so you can get a bag, whether it's a bag from a company or you get speaking opportunities. It's really crazy the different angles you can go. But I took the money from that because I was like, okay, what do I do? I said, I'm not going to sit on all of this money. I said, no, I'm going to take this money to make my purpose even bigger, make it expand. So I took the money as I'm going to hire a team. So I got the best videographer that I'd ever seen in my life, production manager, entire team, VAs, all of that. I said, yo, let's do this the right way. And that was when we officially launched in a public way, Tech is the New Black. But even when I was live on Instagram, it was Tech is the New Black. We just hadn't said the name yet. But then when we launched, now the reason for the name, it's a double entendre. So first off, New Black, if y'all could look this up, New Black comes from the fashion industry. The term new black is a way to say, yo, this is the new cool thing.
Right.
So, in fashion, because black is the cool color in fashion.
Right.
But there might be a season where red is the cool color just for that season. So they'll say, oh, red is the new black this season. So and that's why we see, people say 30 is the new 20. It's kind of a way to say this is the new cool thing.
Right.
So to say tech is the new black, it was my way to say, most people think I'm saying like tech is the new black is saying like, oh, tech is for black people, which it is, but that isn't what it meant. It's really saying.
I didn't know that till now.
Yeah, like people don't know that.
I always thought it meant like, what I thought, honestly, was that like black culture shifts so much within our cultural norm. Like I feel like African Americans really do set the tone culturally.
We do. Oh yeah.
So I was thinking more like this is the new cultural wave that our people are on. You get what I'm trying to say?
So what's interesting, you are right about the second part of the meaning. So the first part is saying tech is the industry that I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're a successful business owner.
Right.
You need to pay attention to what's happening in technology. Because whether we're talking AI, robotics, or even before all of this stuff started booming how it is now, the tech industry is something that you need to implement, leverage in some type of way within your business, within processes and automations. But the other meaning of tech is new black is to say that, because growing up, I've always been articulate.
Right.
But I always grew up, I always lived in just ghettos and hoods. And kids would be like, why do you talk like that?
Yeah.
They say, yo, you don't sound black. Or, you'll see a kid and say, oh, you don't dress black. Or black people don't do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Black people we're not in tech. And so the notion of saying, no, this is new black is saying anything that is associated with ghetto, ratchet, toxic, violent, hood-ish, that's old black.
Right.
This is new black.
Right.
New black is not that toxic relationship podcast ish we be seeing. That's old black, even though they're still doing it.
Right.
New black is not scamming and X, Y, and Z. That's old black, even though they're still doing it. New black is education. New black is wealth. New black is finances, is technology. This is new black.
Right.
And so that's the other meaning of it.
No, I love that. So, obviously this has been amazing. I think one of my last questions for you today is going to be, what's the most fulfilling part about seeing and helping other people?
I mean,
or what has it taught you, or just talk about the experience on being able to impact the amount of people you've been able to impact it. Is it unreal at times for you?
It's the most special thing, because I remember keeping it stacked. Like, I love the game. I love the game of making more money and like, okay, maybe I could do this. I love the game, but at this point, it's just a game. It's like once and all of y'all will experience this, and I mean, let us know in the comments, for those of y'all, depending on where you're at financially, if you agree or disagree. But once you get really around like $200,000, $300,000, depending on where you live, making $1 million won't really make you happier than if you're already making $250,000, $3 million. Like, it'll be cool, but emotionally it won't move you much. And I know at this point, someone could give me $1 billion. That would not make me happier than I am. Like, I'm good. I'm straight. I'll take the Billy.
Yeah.
But emotionally, it won't. I'll be happy for a moment, but the next day, life gonna continue. I'm like, all right, cool. We got to do this. Texas Blue Black. How we gonna take this billion and put it into it?
Again? Yeah.
But the thing that moves me emotionally is when I get DMs.
Yeah.
And people are like, yo, or they send me the offer letter. That I'm like, it really shows you. Life really is about people, and it's really about relationships, and it's really about the impact that we're making. And so the bag is so nice, and I hope this message conveys to a lot of y'all, make sure that even when you get the bag, that you're still loving people, that your relationships are really the main thing. 'Cause that's really what life is truly about. Right. So that's what it is for me. There's nothing that touches me more when people are like, man, I didn't know how I was gonna pay my bills, I was in this point, man, this changes so it's so funny. I get to relive that moment of getting my offer letter when I went from Lyft driving, grossing about $45,000 to, hey, your OTE is $90,000. No. And I was at a Latin bar when I literally saw, it was an email, I was at a Latin bar and I broke down crying. In that bar, everybody dancing and stuff, and I was just weeping tears because I knew my life had changed. I knew it would never be the same. I had no idea it would be this, but I knew it would never be the same. So every time I get emails or messages, I get to relive that moment through somebody else.
No, I can totally resonate with that. I feel like I started like my mentorship program and my boot camp. So
Yeah.
I feel like just seeing people get jobs, like every single week I have somebody like getting a job or saying, I've advanced in my interview, I'm at this space. And when they really get the job and I get that message, it's such a different feeling knowing I interceded on the behalf of someone's trajectory. It's really different. And like you said, I think my LinkedIn DMs go crazy. Like I just sit back some days, I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. But to hear people saying, you were the reason that I decided to do this, or your representation, your coaching, your mentorship in this space made me make this life decision. It's changed my whole trajectory, like you said, on how fun it is to get money.
Because you've been getting money for a minute. I'm still new money. You've been getting the money for a minute.
I've definitely been touching paper, and it's getting bigger and bigger. But my prayers have changed significantly. Like I'm like, God, increase my impact. Right. Like I'm not like increase my bag. I'm like, because the more you increase my impact, the bag is naturally gonna grow.
Exactly.
But when I see the impact I'm having on people now, my prayers have definitely changed, and I feel like being somebody who is in sales, because I'm still in sales, but your motivation when you first get into sales is to get some money, right? Like nobody's gonna tell you different. Like the reason I got into sales, I will be honest, is because I was like, oh, I'm about to run this shit up. Like,
didn't you say that during one of your interviews they asked you what your? Because I remember.
I told one of my managers, I was like, if I can't really make 40 to 50K a month, like that's not really gonna excite me. And even now, I've had $30,000-$40,000 months, and it don't feel like you said. It doesn't feel like. It just don't feel like, oh, I'm such a great salesperson that this and this.
You get used to it pretty fast.
I realized the reason you started to make this money is because you tapped into your impact. It wasn't because everybody's doing the same thing when it comes to sales. So I think just, seeing how my mindset has shifted so significantly to my influence is tied to my impact, and my impact is a blessing, and it's going to bless me. More than how much am I going to make this month? It's just on some, it's going to be what it's going to be, because I'm out here impacting people.
That's
so
fire.
I love that.
I love that.
And I love that. Just, like I said, we've been on this circuit together forever. I feel like about the last year and a half now. So we've seen each other in so many tech events, speaking events. I'm really happy and proud of you for all the things that you've been doing. And Tech is the New Black. If you guys have not seen my episode with Cyrus, definitely go check it out.
Killed it.
We dive into more what it takes to really do what I've done and be a top performer in the space. Because y'all know I be really, hitting that thing.
You're killing it.
But I love what you're doing. And I'm just so happy to be able to connect with other influencers who are on the same mission right at this time period.
Yo, I love it too. I'm such a fan of yours. I'm a fan of everything you're doing. And so I'm like incredibly honored to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. And we'll see you soon.